and my name is Felice, and I'm blessed and grateful to be in recovery.
Hi, good evening. My name's Haiti, and I'm so blessed and grateful to be in recovery. Welcome to our new night of Thursday evening recovery. Um, we are so happy to be back. We had a break last week. Lots has been going on. It's just good to be back home with our family.
Yeah, and I'm a drug addict and an alcoholic and an anorexic, and I'm here to talk with Haiti about recovery.
And I am that emotional eater, a compulsive overeater, a binger, the purger. I am a drug addict, all in recovery. That's quite a package.
Yes, it is quite a
It's
package.
quite a mouthful.
It's quite a mouthful. And we were going to talk about faith tonight.
Yes, there's actually a reason that I wanted to bring it up. So I'm Jewish. And we're coming to the end of Pesach, and Pesach for me just happens to be one of my favorite holidays because it's all recovery based. And it's about having obstacles and being imprisoned by things, whether it's our own mind or whatever it is. However we want to draw out of that is really interesting. But it's also about having faith of being able to make a change and do something different without knowing the outcome, but trusting that everything is going to be okay.
So I love that you say that, without knowing the outcome, because really we don't know the outcome of hardly anything. We know the outcome of the words that we're going to say, and we know sometimes the outcome of our own actions sometimes, but the world pretty much so turns the way that it does. And when you talk about having faith, to have faith that the world is going to turn the way that it does, and that things are going to come up, like you said, right? Things are going to come up, and we deal with them as they come up.
And the one outcome I did know is when I was using, I always knew what it looked like at the end of it. So I'd use, and I knew at the end of it I'd be miserable, unhappy, and just unable to control what I was doing, and I'd feel like crap. So that is one outcome that I do know that I can control.
Right, and for me, when I was using, I was so delusional that I actually thought that maybe this time that it would be different. That maybe this time it would be okay, that maybe this time I wasn't going to get in trouble, and I mean spiritually in trouble. Maybe this time I could use successfully. And that was more with my relapse. That was more with my relapse than it was actually with the first time that I got clean. And that kept me in a really bad space, and that outcome, even though I couldn't see the outcome, that outcome was the same for me as it is for most people who relapse. So... it's really nice to see you.
Nice to see everybody.
Yeah. What's going on with you? You want to talk a little bit?
Yeah, I was away for 2 weeks, and before going away on my trip, I definitely felt nervousness, not as far as that I was going to use, but as far as, every day here, I go to the store, I get my certain things, I prepare whatever, I drink my smoothie every morning. So I was just nervous that how will I be able to incorporate my stuff and, but so I think that it was a great challenge for me going away because I couldn't eat, the same things every day or whatever. I had to figure it out.
Yeah.
And I realized it wasn't as hard as I thought it would be to figure it out.
It's funny too, right, that we kind of stress ourselves out about things that aren't going to happen. Right. And it wasn't as hard as you thought it was going to be. So funny too, you went on this trip, right, and you were thinking about the food and how difficult it might be. And we could have gone on the trip. You could have gone on the trip and thought about how easy it was going to be. And in the end, the outcome's the same. And that's so funny, isn't it? Like if you left and you said, oh my God, this is going to be so easy because I'm going to Israel and I know they have these great vegetables and someone will always make chicken. And so it's going to be so easy. It's going to be so great to be around everybody and not have to be thinking about what I'm going to be eating. And in the end, the same thing would have happened, except that when you have faith walking into it, just allows us to be happier.
Exactly.
Right?
It's so true.
Yeah.
It's really true.
Yeah.
So that was a part of it, and so everything else on the journey of my trip went really well, just the adventures and all that. So, and just being able to, for one, stay in the moment and not have to think about my next binge, my next purge, my next this, just really to stay and enjoy life and enjoy people around me. So that was really great. The only hardship of the trip, which is kind of irrelevant to my addiction, but a struggle to me, and speaking of faith, is so we went on this hike, with a lot of my family on this mountain. I had no idea what it was going to be. And my dad has Parkinson's. He didn't know what it was going to be. And Gabby was with us, whatever. So it's this humongous mountain that you could like, in my mind, I'm like, oh my God, I was so afraid for my dad because he doesn't have good balance. And I was so afraid with Gabby. And in the middle of the hike on the mountain, I caught a really bad panic attack. And I wasn't expecting it at all, but it was the worst one I ever had, to the point where I couldn't open my hands up, I guess, for my breathing. So, you know, they helped me through it. It was really bad, but, you know, my family was helping me through it, a couple of my family members. But it was just, speaking of faith, you know, my hope for the next time for myself is that going into something, I'll be more hopeful and not think the worst. And maybe that will save me anxiety or another bad panic.
And I'm not really sure why I'm going to say this, but I'm going to say this to you. I feel like crying when I listen to you talk right now. And the reason is because the first thing you said was my hope for myself. Whereas 3 months ago, you would have been beating yourself up for it and saying you couldn't believe it. And I can't believe that I did that, and this one said this one might have thought this, and this one. And instead, you just said, my hope for myself next time is that I'll be able to get through it better, which is amazingly positive, and it already shows that you do have faith for the future and what the future holds for you. And good job you for that, because that's one of the gifts of the recovery, right? Is that your whole presence in your life right now seemed different before you left, once you started getting into recovery, and you're much calmer, and you look like you're in a place inside of yourself that's a lot safer, and I'm really proud of you for that.
Thank you.
Yes,
And
ma'am.
thank you so much for sharing. You know, one of the things about being in our rooms and being in recovery is that we get to hear each other's stories and learn from each other, and also identify. It's one of those things is that when you talk, I can hear and identify so much. One of the things that I really am is that obsessive compulsive. So as an addict, I get obsessive thoughts and I can't stop them, and it's either about using or whatever it is, but that is one of my challenges that I work on, that it, you know, as having those different addictions. For me, I'm an addict that just switches things to change how I feel. And it doesn't matter whether it is picking up something or focusing on thoughts, because for me, those are just as real as not being in the moment. It takes away that same essence of missing out, that all of a sudden I've been worrying about something and trying to plan something and trying to control something and be in charge of something. And it just ends in chaos. And not only in chaos, for me, it ends in a place where I start feeling so bad about myself. And sometimes it immobilizes me, and it's tough to get out of bed or do things. So really, those obsessive compulsive thoughts are really things I can so identify with, and stepping into having faith that things are going to work out, and being able to trust a process is a process that I'm learning as well. It's not something that comes easy.
Exactly.
It's a learning process. Thank you for sharing.
And so what you just said was actually learning that eventually in recovery we learn to have faith. And when you talk about your obsessive thoughts, we've actually done step work and gone through the steps just about, instead of our drug of choice, but about negative thoughts. And just having negative thoughts as the addiction or what we wanted to change. And it's very interesting because it's all exactly the same thing. So what you just said is it's exactly the same thing. Whether you're picking up something that's bad for you, or you're going through your day thinking of something that's just bad, you know, negative for you, it's the same exact thing. And what drives it is the same thing. You know, it's that control thing. It's that if I do this, then this is going to happen. And if I think this, then this is going to happen. And if I present this way, then this person's going to think that way. And it just doesn't work like that.
And for me, it's so fear-based. You know, so much of it comes out of fear. And that fear of letting go and stepping into not being in control is like such a weird space for me to work on it. But it's something, do you know what, it was so catastrophic for me when I was trying to be in control that I'm really open and willing to try something new.
But the thing is, you never were in control.
Yes, I know. But
That's my thought. You were in control.
I thought I could control everything.
Right. We think that we can. And so when we say, oh, we're afraid to lose control, but we never had that control to begin with. And so, again, we know that we're in control of our thoughts and our actions. And what you said, where everything is fear-based, of course, is correct, because every negative thought that we have is fear-based. And those eventually are things that we do learn to control better, right? Are our own thoughts and our own actions. That's all that we're capable of controlling. But we do get to control our own thoughts, and we do get to turn around and say, am I hope for myself next time? Because that's you controlling your thoughts and having faith that the world's going to turn the way that it does. Because the world turns the way that it does. It does, no matter what we think or do.
Ahmed had a question.
Yes, Ahmed. Look like we gotta have faith.
Well, yeah, I had a question because I wanted to ask, do we use faith when uncertainty is present? Is that the best time to use faith? When you're in a situation where you're in an uncertain situation, and the thing about uncertainty is it's sort of scary in a way, because we all want to have that, 2 + 2 is 4, that's it, and uncertainty kind of leaves that room for fear, and to combat that, would you say faith is what you would apply?
So here's the thing about fear. First of all, having faith isn't just when we're having fear. And fear, yes, faith is, they say, the opposite of fear. So you're absolutely correct there. The thing is that to understand that whether you're afraid or not, what's going to happen is going to happen. So let's say we listen to the weatherman, and the weatherman says tomorrow it's going to snow. And we live in Florida, so we don't have snow tires, right? And it says it's going to be 10 degrees below zero, and it's going to snow, and it's going to be sleety, nobody's going to be able to drive, and you have a big project for tomorrow, right?
Yeah.
You can spend all day today worrying about whether it's going to be snowy and sleety tomorrow morning, or you can get through your day, stay in the moment, wake up tomorrow, and it's either going to be snowy and sleety or it's not. The faith part of it is learning to stay in the moment and letting go of the fear, because no matter if you're afraid or if you're not afraid, if it's going to snow, it's going to snow, right? No matter how scared or unscared you are, whatever's going to happen is going to happen.
So
For me, faith is understanding that the world does turn in the universe's time, not in my time. And what happens in the universe's time, not in my time. And there are things that I can control, meaning I can see if I have some snow boots left over from when I lived up north, and maybe I want to call and say perhaps I won't be able to go to my meeting tomorrow, right? That's kind of planning for the future.
okay.
But still staying in the moment and not missing the beautiful day, and not missing your favorite song, and not missing have a great day at work today because you're scared about what's going to be tomorrow. When we say have faith, and we think, and this is still a control thing, let's say somebody's sick and you're afraid they're going to die. People think having faith is, oh, well, I'm going to pray and I'm going to hope that this person's okay. And of course, it's okay to hope that the person's going to be okay. But whatever's going to happen is going to happen. I don't personally believe that if I have faith that I'm going to get a good parking space, I'm going to get a good parking space. I may or I may not. Faith allows me to let go of the fear and enjoy the journey. Because at 5 o'clock today, it's going to be 5 o'clock today. If I went through my day afraid of what might happen tomorrow, at 5 o'clock today, it's 5 o'clock today. If I went through my day enjoying my day, because this might be the last second that I have, right? Enjoying my day and enjoying the moment and getting done the things that I need to get done for myself, at 5 o'clock, it's going to be 5 o'clock. The only thing that changes is my journey, my spiritual journey, to 5 o'clock. Whether I have faith or not, that's not going to change the outcome for tomorrow. Because if it's going to snow, it's going to snow. Right? No matter how much I pray and how much I think and how much right? If it's going to snow, it's going to snow.
So
Do I need to go through today being afraid because it might snow tomorrow? Because my fear does not control that outcome.
So if we're able to change our perspective and have faith that things are going to work out, then the choices we make can be different. So we can choose to be happy.
Of course. Absolutely.
So we can either we could choose to be afraid or scared or happy, or that all of a sudden opens up a whole new world of possibilities.
Yeah, and life is going to happen, right? And we are going to get scared, right? It's just how long do we want to stay there? And how long do we think that if I'm scared and I just, how long do I want to stay there? Because then I'm missing the movie. Then I'm missing my life. So for me, that's what it means. It means letting go of the fear because I'm not in control of what's going to happen. If you call it God or the universe or the sunlight or the spirit or whatever, your higher power is going to control what's going on. The only thing that you can do is to do your best and to look at it and let go of the fear.
So faith is a form of acceptance.
I believe that it is. I believe that faith, and this is just me, but I believe that faith, it's really good that you said that, is accepting that the world is happening the way that it is. And I'm responsible for doing my best to do my best, and that's the end of my responsibility. Because when you talk about when I was using and I could control, or when I'm not using and I can't, the only thing that we can control is our own actions. You said at the end of your using might have been disaster. You would have felt better. You could have been dead. 100%. And then there wouldn't have been any outcome.
Right. So that fear for me is a trigger. So if I put myself in that space of fear and feeling like I'm in control of something, that is the way I used to justify using, which always ended in the same way. It always ended in a bag, like picking up something to put in my mouth, smoke, whatever it was, but try and change the way that I felt. So it's a very dangerous place for me to start thinking that I'm in control of things. Because the minute I do that, in a way, it sets me up for failure. And that failure ends up in the same place with the same results at the end of the time, because I end up using if I'm not working my recovery. If I'm not working my program, if I'm not reaching out to people to say I'm struggling, if I'm not doing the things like connecting with other people and talking to people and coming to meetings, those things start affecting my world. All of a sudden it becomes easier for me to go back into comfortable behaviors.
Right, and even if that comfortable behavior, like you said before, isn't actually using, but just living in the midst of that chaos, that makes you unhappy, that keeps you unhappy.
Right, so I just want to quickly touch on a couple of things. One is we do live stream on Facebook. We're all over. We're on YouTube, we're on Facebook. If you want to hop into the conversation, we're also on Zoom. You can jump into the meeting room. It's a virtual meeting room. It's a private space. No one can see you. It's great to hang out with everybody here. You can jump in via our Facebook page or just IM us and we'll send you the info. We also reach out to each other and give additional support to each other through our closed group on Facebook called What's Eating You.
We do.
Yes, we do. So the great thing is people from all around the world, all different time zones join us. If you're struggling, someone will respond to you, which is quite miraculous.
It is. And Ahmed, when you spoke about that and when you said about fear, usually it's when people are afraid that they remember maybe if I can have some hope. But the thing is about the faith is that if we can have faith, even when we're happy, that the world is turning the way that it is, so that we don't have to come up to those things where, bam, we're moving around okay, and then bam, we're scared. With that understanding, in the rooms, they do the serenity prayer, right? Accept the things I cannot change. What can't you change? Almost everything. You can't change the weather, and you can't change her attitude, and you can't change if your boss is going to come up happy or not, and you can't change if you get a flat tire that afternoon, and you can't change what my reality is, right? And changing the things that you can, your own perspective and your own actions, right? And doing your best, and being smart enough to know that no matter how scared or not scared you are, whatever's going to happen is going to happen. And that the only things that are there for us to work on are the things that we can change, which again is us. What we can change is us, our own actions and our own perspective. That's it. That's what we can change. It's so simple, and it's the hardest thing in the entire planet to do, but it sounds really easy, right?
It does, but there's that element of looking good. I always had, when I came in, I didn't want to be vulnerable or sound vulnerable, or I had that insecurity that I always had to project a certain image or act in a certain way. Like anyone really gave a shit,
Right.
but I always thought the whole
Because
world
we're
was
so
focused on
important.
me, like my ego and stuff. Like whatever I did every second of every day was under a microscope and being scrutinized. Okay,
And everybody cared and remembered.
100%,
And talked about
and
it
recorded
for the
it.
next
Like,
for the next
yeah,
month.
exactly. So part of that fear also led to me not reaching out when I really was struggling. You know, when I really needed help, I was so lonely. I was so miserable. I was so sad, and I was so empty. I didn't know how to actually. I didn't know what to call it. All I knew was that I was struggling. I was in pain, and I was absolutely hopeless. Like the thought of trusting anyone other than for specific things was inconceivable to me. You know, so part of this whole process of learning, and it really is, it's a retraining and it's a relearning, and it's and learning to be kinder and gentler and also enjoy the moment. And it's a process. It's undoing years and years of self-abuse, really.
Yeah. Yeah, and it's completely changing our thinking as far as recovery goes, and completely letting go. Most of us, when we start in recovery, we're sick from using whatever we were using, and then we're sick because we're not using whatever we were using, right? And so we go through that immediate, what they call like your acute withdrawal, and then that post-acute withdrawal is this stuff where I need to learn to rethink and I need to learn to live so that I'm just not sitting here in a state of depression and my own chaos.
And it's very easy to pick up something else. So for me, when
It is?
it is. So for
Oh,
me, when I
man.
had the bariatric surgery, it was so easy to go into gambling. It's so easy to get into the smoking. It's so easy for me to get into marijuana, whatever it is. It's just so much easier to fill that void if I'm not able to pinpoint and say, this is really my problem. I'm my problem, and my thinking is really the issue.
Yeah, 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 that's the way it is. And we talk about it all the time, you know, that they say that when we first get clean, that there's only one thing that we have to change, and that's everything. And we have to change everything because we have to change our thinking, and changing our thinking is what changes everything. I want to check in real quick if it's okay
Sure,
with
I'd love to.
Karen, and we'll give Lucy a little bit of time to sit down and relax before we check in with her. And I'm going to coin out Angeli, who has a year clean, and we're going to coin out Angeli and hear a little bit of her experience, strength, and hope. Karen, hi.
Hi,
How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
Good. I'm glad to see your face.
Well, I'm glad to be here. I was having a little trouble connecting. It wasn't working for a
That's
few
because
minutes,
we didn't
but
have
I'm
it
here
on.
now.
Yeah, we didn't have it on.
Oh,
Sorry.
oh well. You know, why is it so easy to see it in other people, but it's incredibly difficult to see in myself? I can give you chapter and verse of others I can see this kind of fear and struggle in, but it's harder for me to see it in myself, although I do.
Yeah, and actually, even to recognize it as behavior that, or thinking that with somebody else, you would help them if you could through what they're going through, and why it's so difficult for us to help ourselves going through what we're going through. And the reality of it is that if we could do it on our own, we wouldn't be here.
That's exactly right.
Yeah.
And thank goodness for this group, the workshops, the steps, because I've had a really up and down week. And it's just really helped me to keep my perspective in tune with what I do have control over, which isn't very much. And so it's really helped me to get through and to have everything be all right.
Very good. And did you finish your step?
I did.
Okay, cool. All right, so we'll talk about that.
So I have a
Yeah.
question for you, because I've been obsessing about this. Did you get your workshop,
I did. Yes, yes,
perfect.
yes, I did.
the workbook?
I meant
You're
to let you
welcome.
know that.
So we're going to see you Saturday.
Absolutely. I'll be
We're
there.
excited.
Awesome.
Awesome.
Oh, we're excited. Awesome. And Luce, thank you. You want to check in?
Hi.
Hi.
Hi. How are you?
Tired.
Okay.
Been a rough 2 weeks.
Okay.
So getting ready for Passover and then going to Tampa. Working 2 jobs.
I work 3.
Okay. I'm also probably a lot older than you.
Okay.
And I'm tired.
I'm old.
Okay.
And how are you doing otherwise?
Horribly.
So go doesn't matter. And so to say I've gained 196,000 pounds, okay, that happened. There's nothing that you could do about that. What you can do is decide from this moment to start with a clean slate and to do what it is for yourself and to be kind to yourself and to do what it is for yourself. You know, let me ask you a question. Why? Why do you think that you gained the weight? Beside the fact, don't give me the answer that because I ate too much, because that's what Angela would say.
No,
But
no, I'll tell
It's
you
smart.
why. Because I'm beating myself up because of my situation, my financial situation, and the fact that I have to work 2 jobs because my business sucks right now.
so you're beating yourself up.
I'm
and-
beating myself up.
Right, what you're doing with the food is you're trying to change the way that you feel.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, is it working?
No,
Okay, so you're trying to change the way that you feel and it's making you feel worse.
yep, because I can't get into my clothing now.
Why are you doing it?
Because I'm punishing myself.
So sometimes I think that that's an easy thing for us to say, that I'm punishing myself. Because it's almost like the thing that people expect to hear. You know, I'm self-sabotaging, I'm punishing myself. You know what you're doing, right? So if you want to stop it, stop it. Stop it. Show up to meetings, reach out to the community, do your gratitude list, let people know where you are and what's going on with you because you can't get help when you stay by yourself, right? For all you isolators out there, we all do it. Sucks. It's really hard. The more we isolate, the more we get to use all by ourselves. The more we get to hate ourselves all by, that's how it was for me. The more self-loathing I got to have and the more spiritually sick I got to get. Right? And then it was, oh, poor me, I'm a victim, poor me, I'm a victim, poor me, I'm a victim, as they say in the rooms, pour me a drink. Oh, I'm a victim. But the thing is, at any moment, and I love that quote, it says, I think it says, at any moment, you have the chance to say, this is not the way my story is going to end. That part is in your hands. So if you're beating yourself up, stop it. Just stop it. Know that you're going to go through a tough time because in the beginning, when we stop, we stop eating sugar, we withdraw it just like we do from any other drug. So you feel like crap and you hate yourself and you hate me and you hate the dog and whatever. And then after a week, you start to feel better. And then the next week, you start to hate yourself again because you're not using, but you get to do the work to walk through your recovery as long as you stay connected to a community, to walk through your recovery so that you don't have to, quote unquote, beat yourself up. And so you don't have to reward yourself by killing yourself because that's what you're doing.
And you also don't need to plan for the next week. You can do it for the next hour. You can make it another hour after that. And if you can't do it for an hour, do it for a minute. And then keep doing it for the next minute after that. No matter what, don't pick that up.
But at some
Because at some point,
sorry.
you've got to make that decision.
Yeah.
Because no one can make this decision for you. At the end of my using, I was in a space the size of my bedroom and the bathroom, and all I was doing was I was binging and purging and binging and purging. So I was going from my bedroom to the toilet to throw up, to stay by myself in a dark room, not talking to anybody. And it reached a stage that was a place where it brought me absolutely to the point of desperation that I knew something had to change. But it has to be something where you go, I'm willing and I have to do something different. Otherwise, nothing is ever going to change because nothing changes if nothing changes.
And I'm really glad that you used that word willing because we talk about, recovery is for, recovery is for people who want it. Bullshit. Everybody wants it. Well, recovery is for people who need it. Well, everybody needs it. It's for people who are willing to put in the work, to go through the pain, to get to the other side, to be happy, joyous, and free. But we don't wake up and that happens one day. We work on it and we work on it and we work on it and we get happy and we get a little bit happier and a little bit happier and we work on it as we work on it. And then one day we come back from Israel and we're happy.
She was
Right?
great.
Well, the thing is, and for me, if we're talking about her weight, I don't care. So I don't know if you've lost 2 pounds or 2,000 pounds because I don't see. And you can ask Angeli, that's really my truth. I don't see how people look like that aesthetically. But spiritually, when you come in and you said she's smiling and you're beaming, and spiritually I could see that you're well. And that's what makes my heart happy. The other stuff always comes. When I'm on Percocet, nobody can see. You know, I don't gain 50 pounds or lose 50 pounds when I'm on 200 milligrams of oxycodone, right? Spiritually, I'm different. And so spiritually, yeah, we see that spiritual change in you, that you're more relaxed and that you're happier, and that you don't look like you used to look when you were, even when you were talking, you were thinking about the next thing and thinking about what happened yesterday and thinking about what's going to happen tomorrow. That's why she looks so beautiful.
She does.
Yeah. But that's why.
But
Not because of her weight. Yeah,
I was gonna say that besides the weight, because I've been at every weight.
of course.
And I appreciate the comment, of course, but just saying in terms of the weight never really makes me happy. And I was gonna say, because even in Israel, like, they love pictures, and I still am not comfortable with taking. I can't look at myself in the picture. Like, it makes me too nervous to see what I look like.
Okay.
So the weight will never satisfy, but I've realized lately, like, I just feel calmer. Like, I don't feel like I want to yell at someone or whatever. Like, so that's really what matters.
Yeah, and you don't look so scared.
Actually, I'm so happy that you brought that up as well, because for me in early recovery, I saw it as an extension of a diet. You know, I'm the compulsive overeater, I'm the binger, I'm the purger, I'm a food addict. So in the beginning, when I first started this process, after the surgery, I thought it was another diet. You know, I have to just abstain from these foods and everything's going to be okay, and work the steps and I'll get the gold star and I'll be recovered. Except it isn't. It's really not about dieting, because it's the same mindset, okay, and the same way of thinking of that serial dieting and that withholding and punishing myself, and that same process that was as detrimental for me that I relapsed on. And relapse isn't everybody's story, but for me it is, because it's not about the diet. It's about the way that we feel when we put the stuff into our system that we know ends up making us feel terrible, and we have certain reactions to it, because it's almost like an instantaneous allergic reaction for me. I put it in, I become miserable, I become short-tempered, I become a totally different type of person. I become unhealthy, I see the world from a different perspective, and I feel guilty and ashamed no matter what. And that is the place that I really needed to get away from, is being happy and being guilty and ashamed don't sit in the same realm. They're two totally different worlds.
Right, because when you're obsessed and walking around in fear, there ain't no way to be happy.
Right.
Right.
And the first key really starts with abstinence, to be able to, because we don't realize how skewed our thinking is when we're busy using, because our addiction keeps us sick. It wants to keep us in the place that justifies why we're doing, and it's okay to do it, and just the one more time and just one more bite, and no matter what it just is, it's just. So it absolutely becomes a point of, this becomes an absolute for me. There is no way I want to do that, because I know what it's going to look like at the end of it. I've done enough research.
Right, and again, and I always say this, if you're allergic to shrimp, and every time you eat shrimp, we have to call 911, and maybe you're going to die in the next 3 seconds of anaphylaxis, you don't eat shrimp. End of discussion. It's not that you go to your doctor and say, oh, but can I just eat it once, and I just want a little bite? Is it okay if I just have it in soup? But maybe if I have it with milk, but you know, if I only have it on Tuesday, no.
And if
You're
I take
allergic
this
to
before
shrimp.
and it
Right.
doesn't make a reaction, can I have it? And if I swap the shrimp out for lobster?
Right. And so that's the BS that we tell ourselves, and I'm glad that you brought up abstinence as well. We choose to be abstinent so that we're not touching those receptors, so that it's not keeping us in active addiction. We got to get clean so that we could learn some recovery, so that we can stay clean and stay in recovery. And start again, you got to be willing to say, for this second, I know that I'm willing to not use, and then be willing to not use and not use, and be willing to do the work that it takes to go through recovery. Carly,
Welcome.
can you hear us?
Yes.
Hi.
Yes,
Hi.
welcome.
How are you?
Okay. I'm okay. I had gastric sleeve surgery.
So did everybody else.
In
Welcome.
July. And I canceled my 1-year appointment that's coming up in July, because I have a fear of me stretching my stomach back out. So I've had like really bad anxiety from that every day, and I've been really like depressed and down in the dumps, because every day I still choose to go to McDonald's, and I still choose to push the envelope, and
I literally every day, like, almost purposely eat things that are like the most horrible for me, and I don't know why. Like, I literally just keep doing it every single day. And
Carly.
I tell myself every morning it's a time to start over,
Carly.
and I still screw it up.
Carly, the reason why you're doing that is because you're an addict in active addiction. And because when we have surgery and we lose weight, it doesn't put us into recovery. It just put us into a different physical state where in the beginning we're not capable of doing all of the same shit that we did before, right? So I always say that the surgery, which is awesome, a lot of people have surgery and a lot of people do really well, is like being in a treatment center. So I lived in a treatment center twice. First time I lived there for 6 months. And you know what? For 6 months, I knew that I wasn't going to use, right? Because I was getting urine tested and I was going to meetings and I wasn't seeing anybody from the outside world. But one day, I had to walk out of that treatment center and walk into a grocery store, walk by a liquor store, and choose not to pick up. And the only way that I had that power to choose not to pick up was with a belly full of recovery. And the only way that we stay, you know, your challenge isn't the food, baby. It's not the food. It's what's eating you. It's why am I doing what I'm doing? Why am I? I know that if I do this, I'm going to get sick. Why am I doing that? And so it's getting to the why part of what I'm doing so that I can understand what my fear is, right? What I'm walking around with all that crazy stuff in my head. What's going on that I need to take a look at me and actually change every which way that I'm thinking, because you walk around in fear, right? And self-loathing. I did. When I was using, I was scared every second and I hated myself every single second. And I didn't know how not to hate myself and not to have that self-loathing. So I had to learn how to do that. And how we do that is by stepping into some kind of recovery group and being active and learning about ourselves in recovery. Learning about the things that we talk about, the things that we do and we don't have control of. You know how brave it is for you to friggin' show up here tonight and say what you said? That shows some type of willingness, right? That shows that at some point today, you made a decision to say, I'm scared and I'm in trouble and I'm gonna reach out for help, right? So they say that we can't get clean unless, you know, the spiritual principle behind the first step in any program is honesty. And so you getting honest with yourself is one thing. You saying it out loud is a whole nother thing. Because when you say it out loud, it makes it real to yourself. And good job you for doing that. Like, congratulations. I'm really proud of you for doing that. It's really, really hard to do.
And Carly, thank you so much for sharing, because honestly, you're not the only person that's going through this. You're really not alone. Many of us have been there, have gone through it, or some of us are still going through it. And being brave, it opens up people's worlds that just hear this. You know, there is hope and there is possibility. For many of us that live in this instant gratification world, we think that we can fix things by taking something or changing something. I'm post-bariatric surgery. I thought it would change things and make me really happy and really thin. And if I was really thin, I'd be really happy. But it doesn't work. It didn't work like that for me. It was a big band-aid. For a short period of time, everything felt great because I wasn't hungry. I didn't think of food. That obsession, because I just wasn't hungry, it was gone. But then when everything started coming back to normal, the same head that went into surgery with me was the same head that I live with today, and it's the same thoughts. And that's where the real work comes in. And that's really the best way to do that, is by doing what we're doing now, is connecting on a heart-to-heart level. And this is how we get well. I'm so proud of you.
Yeah, I really am too. And you know, with Haiti, you were friggin' 100 pounds down or something. And I come into the house and she's crying. And I'm like, yeah, you look great. How do you feel? You know, and she's like, I feel horrible and I'm scared, you know, and I'm in the middle of this chaos. And yeah, I'm skinny and I feel horrible. So nothing changes here just because you lose weight. If I stop drinking or stop eating Percocets, nothing changes. I'm just not picking up unless I learn to change what's happening here. The thing is, with the abstinence part, at some point, you'll make that decision to say, I'm going to do what I need to do for today. And if you have any question about that, and Angela, I'm going to put you on the spot. Are you cool if she contacts you about eating? And Angela is also 100 pounds down. She's post-bariatric surgery. Can you wave? Because she can see you.
Hi.
Hi.
And she's young. We're old. Well,
We're
I'm
old.
really
I'm
old.
really
She's kind of old. But she's young and probably a little bit more relatable and had to go through that thing. I met her a week before she went into surgery.
Yeah.
And she had gained, and she's going to tell her story tonight because she has a year clean. And she went in right after she met somebody who said, okay, you're going to have surgery and you're going to start your recovery journey the second your eyes open after surgery. And she did. And she's 1,000,000,000% different. Not because of how she looks, because yeah, okay, she's thin, yippee. Because spiritually of where she is and how she views the world. This girl was scared and pissed off and angry and sad and self-centered about everything that was happening in the entire world. And now she giggles and she's happy and she annoys me and she works with me and she does, and she's like a young, goofy 26-year-old person, like a young, goofy, happy 26-year-old person supposed to be. Do you still go through stuff?
Yeah.
Of course you do. Do you still have days where you're crazy?
Yeah.
Of course you do. We all do. But those get fewer and fewer and farther in between. And the happy gets more and more. And the learning to accept life on life's terms. And learning that that's all she needs to do is her best. And to reach out to other addicts who are sick and struggling. It's
now that you say that, it helps me to try to open my eyes a little bit more because my sister, she's an opiate addict, and she keeps relapsing and lying and treating my parents like crap who are supporting her, and that's what's killed me the most is the way she's treated our family, and I don't understand why she keeps going back, and she's in a halfway house now, and I'm doing the same thing every day.
You're doing the same exact thing. And so sometimes we judge harshest the people that we see ourselves in. Sometimes we have the least amount of patience and the more loathing for people that remind me of me.
Yeah.
Right? Because I see it in them and I know I can't fix them. And the thing is, you can fix. We can take our broken spirit and actually learn to mend it and learn to get well. And my hope for you is that you're going to stay connected with us. We start a workshop on Saturday morning, this Saturday. So I'm going to talk with you after. Okay? Pardon?
You guys are awesome. Thank you.
Yeah. We'll talk with you after and see if you want to be a part of that, because it's life-changing. It's going to be the third time that Angeli's done it, but it's life-changing. And it will teach you how to enter in recovery and let you know that you're not alone. And you being scared, so is everybody else. And in the beginning, you're not scared, you're terrified. Scared is kind of putting it nicely, right?
Right.
Because, I love, there's this show called The Cleaner that's actually on Amazon. You can watch it, but in the, and he's an interventionist. And in the intervention that he does about bulimic, actually, he says this thing that I've read before, and he says there are 5 words that are part of every addict's vernacular. And it's a beautiful thing. I'll text it to you because it's amazing. I cry every time I read it. But he says in there, the thought of living with our addiction is horrible, but it's not as horrible as the thought of living without it. Because the thought of living without our addiction, what do we do then? What do I do when I'm scared or happy or it's Tuesday and I can't pick up my drug of choice? What do I do then? How do I deal with the things that I'm not dealing with right now? Because right now what's happening is, instead of you thinking about working on you, the only thing that you're doing is obsessing about when you're going to eat and how you're going to eat and why you're going to eat and how much you hate yourself for it, as opposed to what's driving my behavior. So being an active addiction allows us to look at our addiction all the time and blame our life on our addiction all the time and be unhappy because of our addiction. as opposed to saying, there's something up with me that I need to fix inside of me spiritually. And how do I do that? You know, I always said, it's amazing. How come, like, on our first year clean, we can't use? You know, it's like we should be able to celebrate, right? With a cake and some Percocet and a couple of shots of tequila.
Sure.
Why can't we? And the reason why we can't is because we can't have one piece of cake or one Percocet or one shot of tequila, because our brains don't work that way. We're not wired that way, right? We have a disease of more, and our brain doesn't understand that one is one and that it's okay to stop there. You know, in the rooms they say one is too many, because 1,000 is never enough, right? And so the beginning you learn abstinence because you gotta, and after that you'll learn to change the way that you see the world so that you could be okay. Got me? Don't, after we're done, I'm going to keep Zoom on because I want to talk to you. Yes.
Thank you.
So I was listening to everything you said, and I'm thinking this. I remember I read this where it says.
Speak up, baby.
I read either an article or something, and it says habit is stronger than reason. And the thing about that is when she was talking about how you would wake up every morning and you would try not to do something, and you would habitually do it again. And to combat that, you said to have, you know, a little faith, and I think a leap of faith of joining a community like this, where you form a habit of coming and talking about whatever your, you know, thoughts are, would help combat that other habit, because it would bring about some kind of reasoning and make, you know, the other habit kind of, you know.
Right, because it's never about the habit, and it's never about what we're picking up. It's always about, why am I picking up? It's never about her sister's an opiate addict and she's a food addict and I'm an alcoholic and you're a perjurer and you're a binger. It's never about that. We all have the same challenges inside of us. Don't matter our habit or our bad habit or what we're picking up.
You know, I love my grandmother
only
more
have 2
than
minutes.
anything else. I still missed her 60th birthday party because I was using. You know, those are things, no matter how much I love the person and no matter what habits I created in terms of thinking that everything's okay, I'm a sick person, I'm an addict. So there's certain things that I cannot control when I step into the realm of using whatever that drug of choice is for me, whether it's food, alcohol, drugs, whatever it is. It doesn't matter, because it still ends up in the same way that I become a prisoner and I start marching to the beat, and that becomes what I obsess about. That becomes my whole world.
Yeah, that's it. You
But
know,
you're right on one thing, sorry. Coming to meetings helps us discuss the crazy that sits in our heads.
Of course.
So we can be in a room and a community that people go, oh, you did that, I did that too.
Yeah, I did that yesterday,
Yeah,
right? It's like,
exactly.
yeah, how many
Helps us
people have ever
remember.
done that? Okay, we all did. I want to take a little bit of time to speak about Angeli, because Angeli has 1 year clean. Actually, she had a year clean last week. And that's, she's had abstinent, but Angeli has a whole lot of spiritual recovery. And so,
In Why Wait for Recovery.
and she's going to talk about that. Angeli got clean in Why Wait for Recovery. You know, not in any other rooms, not like the rest of us that actually got clean in the rooms and also come to Why Wait for Recovery. And I gave Angeli a coin actually last week at one of the meetings. And, you know, I didn't really say too much except that Angeli walked into a room knowing that she was sick and having absolutely no idea of why. She knew that her life was chaotic and that she weighed, you know, 1,000 pounds overweight or whatever it was, but she didn't know why. And she didn't know what was driving that behavior. And she was so sick and she was suicidal. And she was so sick that she was at that point, you know, they talk about the gift of desperation. And she was so desperate that she became willing. And this girl who I tortured, cried and screamed and hated me and did everything that I told her to do, because the one thing she understood was that the way that she was running her own life at that point wasn't working, that her thoughts were incorrect, that her feelings were incorrect, and that something had to change. And she did understand that everything had to change because she was so sick and suffering so much. And you did. She's done step work 5 times. She's done the workshop. This will be her 3rd time. She goes to meetings, whether she wants to or not. And she still does whatever her sponsor tells her to do because she knows the way that she did it before didn't work. Does she have a whole lot of better thoughts and a whole lot of thoughts on her own and do a whole lot of stuff without discussing it with someone now? Yeah, because spiritually, she's better. She's better. And so I'm going to congratulate you. I'm going to give you my 1-year coin. That was mine that I wore for a year on my purse proudly. And this is for you. And I know you don't want to be on TV. So I'm going to hug you from here. And you could tell us how you did it.
Well, can I just read what I wrote?
Yeah, you can do anything you want. Oh, and I have 2 years clean, by the way.
And Felice has 2 years.
And I have 2 years
Yay.
clean.
Hey. Yes.
Okay.
Okay. So I wrote this obviously last week. So I
Can
said a
you
year.
read it loud and slowly, please?
Yes.
Thank you.
A year ago today, last week, I made a decision to change my life for the better. On a Saturday morning, I woke up and dragged myself to an OA meeting where I met Felice and Haiti. I'm so blessed and grateful for that day that changed my life. Depressed, scared, and lonely, I asked Felice to be my sponsor, knowing that I had nothing to lose but everything to gain. I knew my life was going to drastically change, but I had no idea to what degree. Through hard work, dedication, and commitment, I was granted everything recovery promises and more. Within the past year, I've changed in a number of ways, the most profound being my spiritual and emotional well-being. I transformed from a severely depressed, timid child with low self-esteem into a vibrant, independent young woman who knows her self-worth. This is something that only recovery has been able to teach me, and I wouldn't trade away the peace of mind and happiness I have for anything. I'm so blessed and grateful for our community and all of my friends in recovery. I'm proud to say I got clean, and why wait for recovery? Felice, you have been more than a sponsor to me. You're the best friend I never had, my confidant, my ma, and a part of my family. Thank you for holding my hand through this journey, for your patience, kind heart, and tough love. And most importantly, thank you for all that you are and all that you've done and continue to do for me. You're a true blessing in my life. I love you so much.
And I love you back. And we all love you right back. And so that all sounded great. And so for a couple of minutes, we're going to talk about the struggle. And we're going to talk about the struggle that you still sometimes have. Because, sounds great. Yeah, I'm going to pick up a medallion. I have 2 years clean again because I relapsed after 7. So obviously I wasn't okay all the time. And the thing about being not okay all the time is knowing, as you said, to put yourself somewhere where you're reaching out. To surround yourself in a community where people know what's up with you. Right? Where people know if you're okay or if you're not okay. And continuing to reach out and getting rid of that ego. Because that ego is what keeps us, one of the big things that keeps us sick, right? Yeah. So talk about the struggle a little bit.
You mean before recovery or even while working in
No,
recovery?
while working in recovery. Because we know everybody knows your struggle when you were using. Because everybody has the same struggle.
Okay. So, I mean, yeah, we all start off with the same struggle, and then, you know, I met you, like I said, and we started doing step work, and you tell me what's going to happen and the hope for the future, and we start, and I'm crying, and I'm a mess, and I think, like, you're crazy. How can you tell me this is going to get better? Because it didn't. Before it gets better, it gets worse. You have to kind of go backwards a little more than a bit. You have to go a lot backwards, and that's a hard thing to do because, you know, you have to search within yourself and be honest and find all those things that are wrong with you, and that's a very hard process. I think that's the reason why most of us prefer, in the beginning, you prefer being an addict to what recovery offers because it's hard.
It's hard.
And truthfully, you know, you said the thing of we have to be willing, and you have to let go of the ego and ask for help. And my struggle was a little different in that my ego was not in that area, because I was looking for help. And honestly, I say this and we laugh about it now. You handed me your card with your cell phone number on it, and it said doctor in front of your name. And if your card didn't say doctor, I don't know that we'd be where we are right now and we'd have the same relationship, but I knew the depth of my despair, and I knew I needed somebody who was trained to do more than just be a sponsor and equal to me. I needed someone with the experience and the knowledge and the whatever
And at that moment, it was your ego that
Yeah.
said, well, this girl's got a couple of letters after her
Right.
name, which makes her better than others. And I want to tell you something. I'm the exact same as the addict that's with a needle in her arm underneath a bridge. I'm
Right.
the same exact person, no matter how many letters I have after my name. And that was your ego at that time,
Right.
saying, well, I'm so great that I have to have somebody so great. Otherwise, it's not going to work for me. Right?
Right. Okay, I guess so.
Yeah. That's the truth.
But so, and what I was gonna say is that was. So I'm like trying to agree with you because I know you're right, but I don't want to. So what I was gonna say is that that was a humbling experience for me in the sense that I got to see this person has all those letters after her name and has all this accomplishments, and she's a human being. She has a life, and she has a story, and you have everything we have, the bad and the good. And that helped me realize, like, addiction doesn't discriminate, so to speak, you know. And on the same token, we all have the same, just as we have the same chance to be addicts, we have the same chance to make it better. And so going back to the struggle, yeah, the struggle's hard, the struggle's real, like you always say. But it's so worth it, and it is a lot of hard work. I'm not gonna lie about that part. It's hard work. That's even an understatement. It's a lot of work, but it's so worth it in the end. And yeah, I mean, I can only say that I'm so thankful that I had the opportunity to do this, and I'm a different person because of it.
And that you have the opportunity to continue to do it.
Yeah.
So you guys, you talk about getting the gold star. Once we think we got the gold star and we don't need this no more is when some of us addicts relapse.
So the first time
So-
me and Haiti did step work, we used to compete. We had Felice as a sponsor, who was going to do it first. And we each would tell Felice this, and of course she keep our confidence. So she knew we both thought that, and then one day we talked to each other, and we realized we're both as crazy as each
Yeah.
other.
I did give her a gold star, by the way.
Yes, she did.
Yeah.
But I must tell you something. I've seen such change in you, and I've learned so much from you. I mean, your honesty, your bravery, your courageousness, I've learned so much from you. I'm so proud of you.
Thank you.
You know,
I
and it's
love you.
nice also when people are doing well to see the crazy in them because it makes them relatable to us. And sometimes even to be able to look at somebody and say, that girl's so crazy and I felt like that yesterday, which means that I can help you through, but I have an awful lot to work on myself, you know, that it reminds us of our own struggle as well. Yes.
And may I just also say, I still have those struggles that we have in the beginning that you think, oh my God, normal people don't go through this. Like, for example, this morning we were driving to work and I was almost crying about something because I was scared about a situation. And I was thinking, somebody who has a year in recovery does not act like this, and it's not about that. We're human. It's whatever you're going through, and you work through it. Just the difference this time is I could look at the facts and throw away the rest and see where the part of it that I can, I don't want to use the word control, but the part that I can manage on my own.
Right. And the part you can control, which is your perspective.
Right.
Right? Which is your perspective. I'm going to have a horrible day, or okay, this is going to happen and I'm going to get through it and it's going to be an okay day.
Right.
Right.
Well, the stuff that happens to other people that we take on is happening to
That
us.
codependent
You
stuff.
know,
Right.
that and stuff.
Right. Like stuff that's happening at work and you care about what this one said to that one said to that one. You were like all living in that stuff. Remember when we first met? Well, this one did this and that one said this one to the doorman. Like, you don't even know the doorman. Like, what are you talking about? But she was at the 7-Eleven and she said, who cares? Right? That we get so caught up in others' chaos.
we got
Yeah,
a minute,
it's
so-
8 o'clock.
I just want to
Thank
quickly
you.
say something. We're meeting again on Sunday at 9 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. We have our workshop starting 10:30 on Saturday.
It's not too late to sign up.
Not
Right.
too late to sign
I
up.
also wanted to say, yeah, just message us if you are interested. Also, just let me know if you haven't received your workbook. Anyone who's local that's joining us in the room locally will get it on Saturday,
10:30.
10:30 on Saturday.
10:30. Be early.
And we will see you again on Sunday. And I'm so blessed and grateful to be in recovery. And I'm so blessed and grateful to see all of you again. It's been an awesome meeting.
Yeah, it
And
seemed like a long time.
congratulations.
Congratulations, and I am
And
so
you too.
blessed. So thank you. I am so blessed and grateful to be in recovery. I'm blessed and grateful to all of you for being a part of my recovery and helping me with my recovery. This is our Why Wait for Recovery Thursday night community meeting.
And also, Ahmed, thank you for being of service.
Thank you, Ahmed.
You're awesome.
Thank you guys for being
Yeah.
here. Peace out, everybody.
Peace out, everybody.
Yeah.
Okay. Carly, take down my phone number.